What up, naughty steppers, bass lovers, people of the World Wide Web? It's Connor Whitmore here again with another review for you on the Nawtystep channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the new EP from Dogblood, released on Owsla and Boys Noize Records, Turn Off the Lights. Skrillex and Boys Noize are back with their first collection of tracks since 2013, having made quite the impact with their Next Order Middle Finger single of 2012, and following that up just a year later with Middle Finger Part 2, which had a couple other originals and remixes on it. In the time since, quite a lot has happened for these two individually. For Skrillex, notably the release of his debut album Recess and collaborative LP with Diplo as Jack U, and Boys Noize himself has released a number of extensive projects since Dogblood took off. Skrillex more so being the one of the two whose output has slowed down a bit in recent times, leading to a collective itch from bass fans all over the world for Skrillex to get serious on an individual level again. He's put out some decent material over the last few years, as he's seemingly tried every genre under the sun, not to mention reuniting with his original band from first to last, but I don't think anyone could argue that much of said material has been truly impactful. However, upon announcing that he would be releasing a lot of music this year, to quench that thirst, Dogblood are back. And with it having been nearly 6 years, the most prominent thought in my mind was definitely regarding just how their style would be. Whether they would maintain that electrifying underground sound established in their first few singles, or indeed go for something completely different, and for the most part I think it's the latter. Turn Off the Lights undeniably shows the Dogblood concept at its most experimental and off the wall so far, with a fair amount of it sounding very adventurous in terms of the formulation of its ideas, but that's the main appeal of it, aside to them markedly different from any that we've seen before. I'm going to start with the closer and title track, which for me is the epitome of this free-spirited approach. A track that doesn't present itself as particularly likeable, but which is exactly that. Jolting around in this very infectious way, finding every little gap to fire off into, the timing and placement of everything is great. The introduction perhaps being the closest we get to original Dogblood, with that inviting, rave-inspired lead. But the drops just have this brilliant energy to them, full of vim and vigour and youthful attitude. Certainly rough around the edges for parts of the production, but the joyous instinct and primal nature of it make it very difficult to put down. The refrain of also helps this a lot. Similarly off the cuff are the middle two tunes, For Mind and Koko, which give us varying levels of sound choice quality. The former, alongside Josh Pan and X and G, falls on the right side of indecisive in moving from section to section. The first drop, with its warm, prodding house notes, is out of character considering the manic, spiraling build before it, but it works because of that reason. The vocal sounds mad, as if this person is constantly switching characters like the genres of this tune. There's also the pounding tribal intro, the punchy house drops, got a trap breakdown, there are flickers of breakbeat in there as well. Again, not completely watertight in its construction, and some of the sounds here really don't hit the mark, but the uninhibited delivery of it makes it very enjoyable, the overall dynamic works, and the percussion throughout is fantastic. The latter of the middle two, Koko with Otira, also has a wonderful percussive bass, but what lays on top isn't quite as enthralling. The way this song washes over you to begin with is lovely, and the transitioning across it is seamless, each sequence melting into the next one. Additionally, the midsection, with its atmospheric, scenic feel, becoming more orchestral over time, probably one of my favourite moments on the whole EP, but the main sounds in both drops ruin this song almost completely for me. These jabbing croak sounds that quite simply don't fit in, there's no feeling behind them, they're just there. Do you see what I mean? They're just a little bit out of place. In principle, they're sounds that would easily embellish the jungly theme running through the EP, but the execution, I can't say, is quite there. And then you have the opener, Break Law, which is easily the most sophisticated number of the four. The flows to both drops are very on point, proper neck bopping stuff as the beat dips in and out. Vocal chopping is also outstanding. Drop 1 more so than drop 2, however, which takes the track down quite a messy route. Too much going on at this point, chemistry between different elements isn't there, still detailed but lazily put together. Gotta shout out the introduction here though, kicks off the EP well with its pulsating Punjabi vibe. I mean, honestly, can we just appreciate how awesome that idea is? And the swaggering progressions to each drop, even though the main sounds are a bit off, is another very good idea. But in giving these evaluations of the songs individually, I feel like I've said pretty much everything I want to say about the EP. It starts very tight and compact, and proceeds to become more and more wild and free as it goes on. All the while having this very worldly, continental, unfamiliar vibe to it that makes it very alluring as a collection of songs. One that came around because these two found a small pocket of time to create together, as Skrillex mentioned a couple of months ago. And honestly, that is reflected in some of the ideas, which come across as slightly rushed and hurried in their construction. Moments that are a far cry from the level of sonic interaction that we get on past tracks like Next Order and Middle Finger. But even though there are parts without enough refinement where it's clear they had to finish some of it quickly, the lack of perfection is actually something I enjoy and welcome, and which I feel gives the EP its charm. At the end of the day, this is just a couple of mates getting together to make some tunes. And put it this way, I'm happy they put these songs out as opposed to not doing that because they weren't perfect due to a time constraint. Some of the ideas are better than others, but more importantly, they've established Dog Blood as a project without boundaries on this EP, exploring the limits of innovation in bass music along the way. So yeah, Turn Off the Lights is by no means perfect or even great as a standalone body of work, but it sure as hell is extremely enjoyable, a statement-making return for the duo, and one which I think every listener can get a lot out of. Now, in terms of my favourite on the EP, then I think I would have to go with the title track, but in terms of those that were released with the release of the EP, then I would have to go with For Mind. I find this one the most interesting in terms of its direction, a few sounds that don't work, but it offers the most in terms of its ideas for me, and the energy is great. And in terms of recommendations, if you enjoyed the EP, then I would look at Weewek, other Barong family sort of stuff, Jungle Terror as a genre generally, and also Again Wither between Skrillex and Joyride. And so there we have it, my thoughts on the new Dog Blood EP, Turn Off the Lights. What did you guys make of it? Do you have a favourite track from the four? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, then be sure to give it a big old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell along the way, social media accounts in the description box down below. For some other Skrillex related videos on the channel, check out the link right here. And lastly, if it's naughty, then you know guys, so be sure, as always, to keep it naughty and stay safe. And I shall see all of you legends in the next one. Peace out.